Qurayshi dialects in its eternal existence. Well, obviously the Quran, that's what I'm taught, that the Quran exists eternally in heaven. So obviously when it was revealed, when Muhammad revealed it, he revealed it in his dialect. But what was the language that it was written? Actually,
let's understand this better. People think, how the Quran, Muhammad revealed the system. All the things that we are now speaking and discussing. God is aware of all of these statements, right? He's not learning something new. This is all in his knowledge. Already he knows his statements already, chap. Okay? It's already in a book, you can call it. Already in a book, all there. So when you have revelation, God is aware of everything that's going to happen. So he's given this revelation as time required, and it came down. But it doesn't mean that, okay, this somehow, because we're talking about transcendent, and it's a very different concept altogether. This Quran that Allah has given, in God's knowledge and wisdom, He's already spoken these words, even before we are created, right? But He's just transmitted this to us from heaven to this earth as things were materializing. So when the Quraysh spoke, and one other thing though, the Quran didn't come in the language of the Quraysh, exactly as they were familiar with, or any of the Arabs. It's an Arabic language, clearly in Arabic language, but it came in a language which is totally different, in its own uniqueness, in its own novelty, in its newness. And that is why the Quran challenged them. Like, how can you not believe that this is from God? If you have any doubt that it's not revealed from God to His slave, His servant Muhammad, if you have doubt about it, bring something like it. Bring something like it. Why were they unable to bring something like it? Because of this unique form of delivery.
It's been 1400 years like that.
Yeah, example. Even though it was in Arabic, but it's not the Arabic that they were familiar with. But yet it was eloquent, yet it was beautiful, yet it was meaningful, yet it transformed their lives, changed their lives, inspired them to change the world. But it's in a different construction altogether. In a different construction altogether. And what's amazing is they knew that this particular individual who is now bringing this Quran to them was not known to be a literate individual. He has not learned any of the poetries that they have learned and transmitted. They had times where they will sit and have competitions in marketplaces, like souk of Ukaz, for example. Well, they will you know the rap musics today, right? How one rap singer says something and the other one imitates it differently. Even this tradition continued in some of the cultures. They had this kind of things where they will create poetry on the spot and someone else will repeat back poetry in response, and competitions like this. When the Quran came, it wasn't like any of the forms of their poetry, or their normal speech, or the speech of a soothsayer, or the magicians. You know, people used to say like these are the people who are possessed by jinn, or so. This is how they speak. None of them. In its own linguistic genre, unique in its own style and its own delivery, unique in its own way of presenting the contents, which are sublime, majestic.
Although it wasn't that well received when he initially gave the message. When he initially gave the...
They did not dispute with the message. When the message came is in its linguistic form, why are you burying your daughters alive? What have they done? For what crime? They did not dispute that this is something like, oh, we're doing this because of this. They knew immediately because they knew that was wrong. But they were doing this as part of their culture. Part of their culture. So when this was highlighted to them in this language, what happened? Transformed them. The power of this word transformed them. Because it's coming from an individual who is known to be trustworthy, known to be reliable, known to be truthful, known to be upright. And he is saying this, God has given you this revelation, do this. They started transforming the society.
What was the unique message that Quran brought, what was the message?
Many. I mean, we'll have to talk about it a long time.
Yeah.
The unique message of the Quran
Yeah.
is this, that you should abandon the worship of false gods that you are worshipping, not you personally, the Qurayshis, the Christians and the pagans, and return back to the one God that you should be worshipping. So it was again unique to them.
The
Why is
God
it?
of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, isn't it?
How many God is that God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob? Let's clarify that.
One God.
One God or three in one God?
No, one God.
Now I want you to clarify.
Here, O Israel, the Lord, your God, is one God.
Okay. So this one God is not one God the Father, one God the Son, one God the brother, not the brother, one God the Holy Spirit, three God in one?
What's the point in that?
No.
What's the wrong?
Are you saying?
What's wrong in that?
He's asking if you worship one God,
To
brother. That's what he's
clarify.
asking.
It's important to
Just to
clarify.
clarify.
No. What's wrong in that?
I have to return to the subject because you wanted to ask. So please clarify. Is the Father also God within the Trinity that you believe in?
Of course, yes.
Is the Son also God within the Trinity?
Yes.
So one God the Father, one God the Holy Spirit, and one God the Son.
One plus three gods.
So it's not.
No, three, man.
Abraham.
1, 2, 3.
It's not 1 plus 1 plus. It can be 3
Sorry,
in 1.
can
It
I
can be
just
3 in 1.
can I just intervene?
It can be
Can I
3
ask you
in
a
1.
personal
Look,
question, brother?
look,
Take him to
3
the
in
side,
1.
please, and then you can talk
in
to him.
one.
And
Yeah, go,
we will,
brother, take it.
continue what we
No,
were
no, no.
Yes,
So-
one God.
I wanna ask
So
him.
obviously,
It can be 3 in 1.
obviously,
If you multiply
Abraham-
1 by 1 by 1,
Zero.
it will be 1.
0 or 1.
brother, 1 second.
1. It will be 1.
3.
Did you say 1 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1 is 1?
1? Yeah.
Absolutely wrong. Incorrect.
Why?
1 second. Incorrect.
Why? How?
Try again.
How?
What is 1 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1?
Is equal to 1.
Incorrect. Final
Why?
try. Final try.
Try again, brother.
Why?
I'll tell you why from
You get
mathematics,
chance.
but I'm giving you the final chance.
You tell me
Third
why.
time.
I'll get it wrong as well. I think it's
Try
one
again.
cubed or something.
Okay. Before I give you the correct answer,
Yeah.
let's rewind back. Okay. What is 1 squared equals to? 1 of the power 2. 1 square? What is it equal to if you break it down? 1 square is 1 times 1. Okay? What is 1 cube? 1 cube, or 1 to the power 3, is 1.
No.
Can I finish? Excuse me.
You are going
Excuse
in
me.
algebra
Excuse
and
me.
in geometry
Please.
and in every.
If
That
you
is
ask-
multiplication, bro. That is what it leads to.
Hang on.
It doesn't work like
Sorry,
that.
you don't know algebra? So,
My
sorry.
friend,
No.
because you asked me to explain to you the correct answer, to allow me to explain it. Right. 1 cube, or 1 to the power 3, is not 1 times 1. You'll get 0 out for this if you say 1 cube is 1 times 1. 1 cube, or 1 to the power 3, is 1 times 1 times 1. So now let's go back now. If 1 times 1 times 1 is equal to what? Is it 1 or 1 cube? 1 cube. It is not 1 squared. It's 1 cube.
I don't understand.
Don't give your count.
I don't know.
Never mind. Never mind.
I don't understand.
It's not the same.
All right, Mansur, carry on, please.
It's like saying, you're saying, what is 1 God times 1 God the Father?
We don't need to say times.
You,
No, no.
need to
You
say
multiply.
Yeah, no.
You said multiply.
We
Did you
don't
not
say time.
You said multiply.
You know.
Okay. So 1 God the Father multiplied by 1 God the Son, multiplied by 1 God the Holy Spirit, multiplied by 1 God the brother, not your belief now anymore, multiplied by 1 God the daughter, multiplied by 1 God the uncle. If you multiply all of these gods, at the end, how many God will you get?
maybe Muslim does.
No.
But Christian never does that.
Please.
Multiply by multiply by multiply.
You just did it earlier on, bro. You just did it a minute ago.
Listen.
We don't.
If I told you this, father, son, brother, uncle, and say daughter, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. So how many gods are there? According to your logic, it's 1 God. How many gods do the Hindus believe in? Father, husband, wife, daughter, uncle, brother.
The tree, the cow.
So all of them, 1 times 1 times 360 million equals
No.
1 God. Do you believe Hindus are monotheistic? Then you need to revise your mathematics then. Okay, so let's carry on. So we were talking about the nature of the challenge of the Quran, right? How it came in a very unique form. Let me demonstrate you with an example. It's probably easier.
Do you believe Jesus was God? No, but do you believe he was a messenger of God?
Allahu Akbar. That's
Brother,
it.
your ideology is a Muslim, brother.
That's it, man.
It's not quite.
Yeah, but if you believe that Jesus is not God and he's a messenger of God, brother, you're a Muslim.
No, not by definition.
Brother Mansur.
Because then you also have to accept Muhammad as, as the revealer.
Okay.
So, the Quran has come in a way, it's inimitable. What do I mean by inimitable? Cannot be imitated.
Alhamdulillah.
So when the Quran challenges people to bring a chapter or 10 chapters or a book like unto it, it's asking you bring something like the Quran, like it.
With all these computers.
Not better. Not better than
If you can't
like
bring
Quran or even better than. Better
There's a
than
conversation going on with no multiplication in it.
Listen what he's gonna say.
There's not three, there's only two here, brother.
I'm listening and answering.
Good.
If the Quran says something, bring something like it, then obviously, if you can't bring something like it, how can you bring something better?
That's the answer.
So, the Quran is inimitable, simply put, the way it is delivered and what has been delivered. Okay? What is said and how it is said. Now, how is this objective, people may ask? I mean, how can I objectively understand and verify if someone were to bring it that this is not imitable, not something that you can imitate? Because it could be a subjective beauty. People think, oh, maybe it's more beautiful, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You can say something is beautiful than the others and people will disagree with you. Okay? So it is not to do with beauty. The Quran has beauty, no doubt. But it is not beauty that makes the Quran imitable. What about eloquence? The Quran is eloquent, no doubt, no dispute. The people who are not Muslims, they will testify. So it's a matter of not a dispute that the Quran is eloquent. But eloquent speech by itself doesn't make something divine. Doesn't make something.
I wouldn't use that as evidence either, because obviously there are people who do attest to its eloquence, but at the same time, those that speak otherwise.
Right. Now, I mentioned something about uniqueness. People can bring something, various things unique. Again, uniqueness on its own doesn't mean it's divine, right? You can bring something totally unique, but if you bring something totally unique and no one can imitate it, then it's interesting to explore. Why is it that I'm unable to imitate it? You know, these geniuses that bring art, literature, music, poetry in the uniqueness. Shakespeare. That's imitable. You can imitate Shakespeare. You can imitate lots of music that people have produced in their style. That's imitable, not unimitable. You can imitate. But if you bring something totally unique in such a way that you cannot imitate, then you have a big problem. Why is it that we are unable to imitate it? Let me give you an example before I go into literature itself, the text itself. An easy to understand example would be, say you're a builder and I'm a builder. We want to now talk about our unique building proficiency, okay, how we can build. So you've built certain buildings, okay, I've built that building and this building and this building. See, these are what I did this. I designed it, I built it. It's quite interesting. Then I give you a building, okay, here is my building. Inspect it. Go on close inspection, you see what? Every brick is totally separate from every other brick. You can actually put your hand through. They are suspended in air. There is nothing connecting this brick to the other brick. Nothing. Whole building is constructed, solid, floors, and yet there are no brick touching the other brick. So I give you my building and I say, look, still made with bricks and rods and sand and what have you. same material. Can you bring something like it? If you think that I didn't get a special, construction capability, would you be able to imitate it? Would you be able to make a building like mine? Anyone would be able to imitate it, even today. Why? Because there's something special there, within this uniqueness. Yeah?
So here you are saying that Zabur is less, Torah is less,
Good the way he worded it.
and Anjil is less, only the Quran is superior.
No, I never talked about superiority.
Yeah, you in your word you said so. That
I think he said unique, bro.
Unique, brother. That's what he said.
Uniqueness.
Bring something like it.
And then something afterwards.
Bring something
So there's
like
not anything
it.
after.
but he is
Very well said.
oh, he is denying the first revelation and making his revelation superior than the first one.
When did he deny
So-
the first revelation?
If you were listening
No, he-
carefully,
He didn't deny it.
This is what he is saying.
if you were listening attentively,
Yeah, I'm listening it. I'm listening it.
okay. So what I said is the Quran came in the Arabic language, and it asked the people, challenged them to bring something like it if they had any
So
doubt.
if I say
Can I finish?
you bring
Let's consider the whole thing, bro.
I think it's only fair if I continue the discussion between ourselves, and I can speak to you another time
no,
because
no. But
you come with interjections and you try to
Sorry.
join the flow. I'm trying to establish a particular point about how the Quran is inimitable.
You say
You are not helping him.
no.
To understand it.
I don't think you're trying to help.
I'm helping him. That
You're not helping him either, mate.
if I recite Psalm 23 here, and I ask you that you bring something like Psalm 23, will you be able to bring like Psalm 23? Will you bring?
This is the
Will
problem
you bring like
with
that?
not understanding the subject at hand. Right? This is the problem with this.
It's already there.
People look at
Carry on, brother
It's
Mansur.
already in Psalm.
You can't look
in
at these things
Torah,
superficially because
in
this is not a
Injil.
superficial matter. This is a matter where you have to have a scholarly input. Meaning what? Do proper research and understand the subject. Understand the subject. When we're talking about quantum mechanics, you're not going to use, Newton's first law and second law and third law. This is well beyond that. Why don't you just listen to the whole conversation first?
Yeah, I'm listening, and as well as participating if you
But
allow me.
I would prefer not
If you allow me.
if you didn't participate because you are missing the points of the
See,
discussion.
you are
Excuse me, my friend.
diverting.
Thank you very much. I'll talk to you half an hour later. Okay, thank you. So let me continue now. So to continue, this building, why is not imitable? Because we do not have the capacity, the capability, the power, the ability to make something like it. It's not within our hands now. It is beyond our human capacity. Okay? We're incapable of bringing a building like this today. I'm not sure about something in the future. I can tell you today, definitely not.
But that's more what you believe.
Wait. If I were to give you the building as an example, you would have to admit that it is beyond human capacity today. Right?
Maybe for the entire building, but parts of the building probably could be
No, I'm
replicated.
talking about the uniqueness is in the arrangements of the building without bricks touching each other. I gave you one example out of it. I could have given you whole building, in fact, everything else, the rooms as you go in. Look,
The miracle side. of
brother,
things.
please. You
I know what you're saying, but to me,
just
the
to
point.
very valid point. Doctor Who, he has like a what's it called, like a post
Postbox.
box,
Phone box.
phone box, or telephone booth, right? You can go around it, and it's like limited in dimension.
Where did I get that
Very small. What happens when you go inside? It's bigger than what looks from outside, right?
I don't know, I've never watched Doctor Who, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take it.
It is. Where were you when you bought that?
Where were you?
No, that's right. That's okay.
You watch Thundercats.
That's
We know
right.
it. We know it.
You know what? That's right. I don't watch many things, I'm just giving you an example where people are familiar with. So basically, when you go inside, it's a totally different thing. So if I were to give you a building, likewise, you go inside a room, From the outside, you saw a room which is maybe 10 foot by 10 foot. When you go inside, it's like a stadium. This is the magnitude what we're talking about in terms of uniqueness. So I only restricted to one feature, which is how the bricks are joined together. I can give you layers upon layers upon layers upon layers in terms of the uniqueness, but this is one of them. So we are unable, it's beyond our human capacity to construct something like this. Because we can see it clearly. We are builders ourselves, you are a builder, as I said, these are the things you build, and you will say, I don't know where you get this made from. I mean, it's impossible for me to construct anything.
But you believe that for the book in its entirety?
Okay, no.
But what about the individual ayah?
This is what I want to come to this book now. So when the book is given, it is taught, it is recited in the language of the Arabs, in the alphabet of the Arabs. It is no different than the Arab language they use, alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, and so on. Same language. But these letters have been used to construct particles, words, sentences. The way it's constructed, in a way, if people were to imitate it, they were unable to. Now, how and why they were unable to? Let me give you an example. Now, this is a chapter this is one chapter very early in
Knowledge is good, brother.
in its chronology. Very early in its chronology. It's most likely, from our reports, the 4th chapter or surah to be revealed. Surah Al-Muddathir. Okay? The 4th. Quran has 114 chapters or surahs, and this is chronologically the 4th from the reports. This is the chapter. I mean, it's small in size now. Actually, you can see it spans in our Quran about 2 pages. Okay, 56 ayat of verses. People say ayat are not synonymous as verses, are not the same. But let's call them verses from what you understand. 56 ayat. Okay. How Quran has brought this chapter within its verses, within its construction, unique. This is how it's like. Look at this. Okay, try again. Whole of it. This is how it's unique. Once more. Have you looked? Only one verse which says, then he looked. ثم نظر. You looked, right? So it's nothing about this, that you look there. Out of all of this, every other verses or ayat has unique features. Only this is Arabs were accustomed to. This is what we're talking about, uniqueness. Now let's break this down. The whole book's written on it, but I've tabulated it for comparison, easy comparison. The number of ayat, this is the goal of the Quranic ayat, it's the goal like this. يا أيها المدثر قم فأنذر وربك فكبر, and so on, right?
This is full ayat.
Half an hour, it's not gone yet, my friend. So, this column, right? Finishes here. These are different types of this newness.
So different types of
Newness, uniqueness, novelty. Tarakib, the construction. Ta'birat, expressions. New words. New words, old words with new meaning. Mustalahat Islamiyya, new technical terms. Lafz al-bayani, this is again eloquent expressions. Isti'mal jadid lil-adawat, new usage of particles. Al-bina al-jadid lis-sur, how it's the picture or the picture is provided, or how something is presented in expressions in a picturesque form.
So when you say this, you're talking about in comparison with any literature that was just at the time period, or
I'll explain that in a second. Iltifat, shift, rhetorical shifts. اللغة المنفتحة, openness of the language. جوامع الكلام, conciseness. So if you look at each of them, Look at the number of features from each ayah. Some ayah has so many more, right? Like this particular ayah has so many. What we are comparing the speech of the Arabs at that time. The Quran came in this milieu, or in this environment where the Arabic was spoken by Arabs, in their poetry, in their statements, in their prose, and so on, right? Their speech. We can compare them. Thousands of the lines have been preserved. Arabic poetry have been preserved to us. The Mu'allaqat of Imrul Qais, of Antara, various others. We can compare from the poetry. We can compare from also the speech of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How he spoke from the hundreds and thousands of hadith, forged or authentic. We can compare the speech. So we have now three things to compare. Speech of the Arabs from the pre-Islamic poetry in that time, the Quran itself, and the statements of the Prophet. When we compare, this is what we find. It is unlike how they spoke.
The Quran is distinct from all of those other sources.
Distinct in what way? The number out of 256 words. The new features is over 300. This is not just for this surah. If I am not mistaken, every single surah of the Quran, the newness that the Quran brings within the ayat, within the words, it exceeds the number of words within the surahs. So when they heard this chapter, Surah Al-Muddathir, Prophet recited from here to there, and only thing they were accustomed to is just one ayah. Can you imagine the shock they had?
So that's all they were used to in their own language at that time.
Everything else is different.
Subhanallah.
In one form or the other. And this is an objective way.
See, that's a miracle
Objective way
Totally
of
unique.
ascertaining, verifying the uniqueness of the challenge of the Quran. Because it's not about beauty anymore. Okay? So it's not about someone being very genius, it's about actually showing you this is how the Quran is unique in its delivery.
in some way.
In its delivery. How is this so? To give you an example of iltifat. Iltifat is a rhetorical transition. How the speech translates or transfers from one form to the other. For example, I'm speaking about you and suddenly speaking about them and coming back to you, but you will not even notice. Yeah? This is a unique feature that is really profound within the Quran. Almost every single surah. The first chapter, Surah Al-Fatiha that we read, so many examples within it. Okay? Even the chapter. But because we are accustomed to the Quran hearing every day, reading it every day, in Ramadan, in our everyday teaching and learnings, in our prayers, that we read them aloud, we have somehow being what? In a way desensitized to this uniqueness, because it doesn't appear to us anymore like this is unique. But if we were transported back to that time, and you heard that first time, you will have a linguistic shock now. I mean, you will know what to say. And this is exactly what happened to the first listeners who were best of their poets. When they heard, in fact, some of them, in their shock, they died, collapsed and died. We have reports like this. People collapsed and they died. This is how it was shocking to them. Some said, "Ma hadha qawlul bashar." This is not even the statement of any human being, because they know what the statement of a human being is. So it may be difficult for us who are not Arabic, not into literature, to appreciate this. But when this is said, how the Quran brings this language into within this new constructions, in its unique features, they were totally taken back by surprise and say, how can I say something like this?
This is surely got me from God.
The examples that I have often given in the past that Muslims will appreciate, in the chapter chapter that we said about Surah Al-Fatiha, about when we say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, we say all praises and thanks and gratitude to Allah, the Lord of the world.